No, sir, I'm good, sir.
Hi, how are you? I'm Goyal.
Secretary General of ISO.
Yeah, I know.
Nice to meet you.
Important. Nice to meet you, sir.
Very nice to meet you. And thank you for your hospitality.
I was all the way from Geneva.
I did. Where are you?
Honourable Union Minister of State for Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, and Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, Shri Ashwini Kumar Chaube ji. Honourable Union Minister of State for Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, and Rural Development, Government of India, Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti Madam. Secretary General ISO, Mr. Sergio Mujica. Secretary Consumer Affairs, Government of India, Shri Rohit Kumar Singh ji. Chairperson ISO COPOLCO, Ms. Sari Dainton. Additional Director General BIS, Ms. Mamta Upadhyay Lal. Senior officials from ministries and BIS, esteemed delegates from different countries, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. Our Honourable Minister would be arriving shortly. It is a matter of great pride for India to host the plenary for COPOLCO, the ISO Committee on Consumer Policy. I, Dr. Anil Kapdi, Joint Director BIS, would be taking you through this event, and it is indeed an honor for me to welcome you all to the opening ceremony of the 44th ISO COPOLCO Plenary 2023 in this wonderful capital city, New Delhi. Light is a symbol of brightness and prosperity, as it expels the darkness and brings positivity and happiness. Therefore, to make this event a blessed one, I would like to invite respected ADG BIS Madam to kindly accompany our Honourable Union Ministers of State, Shri Ashwini Kumar Chaube ji and Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti Madam, Secretary Consumer Affairs, Shri Rohit Kumar Singh ji, and our esteemed guests, Secretary General ISO and Chairperson COPOLCO, to kindle the lamp. Thank you, everyone. I would now like to request Additional Director General, BIS, Ms. Mamta Upadhyay Lal Madam, to kindly welcome our esteemed dignitaries on the dais with a shawl and a plant. Madam, to start with, I request ADG BIS to kindly welcome Honourable Minister of State, Shri Ashwini Kumar Chaube ji. Thank you, Madam. I would now request ADG Madam to kindly welcome Honourable Minister of State, Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti Madam. I now request ADG Madam to kindly welcome Secretary, Consumer Affairs, Shri Rohit Kumar Singh Ji. I would request ADG Madam to now welcome Secretary General ISO, Mr. Sergio Mujica. I would request now ADG Madam to kindly welcome Chairperson Copolco, Ms. Sari Denton. Thank you, Madam. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Mamta Upadhyay Lal is a very senior officer from Indian Ordnance Factory Services and has been handling responsibilities of BIS as Additional Director General for the past 3 years. With this, I would now like to request ADG Madam for delivering her welcome address. Madam.
Good afternoon, all of you. Honourable Minister of State, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Shri Ashwini Kumar Chaubey ji. Honourable Minister of State, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Government of India, Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti ji. Secretary, Consumer Affairs, Shri Rohit Kumar Singh ji. ISO Secretary General, Mr. Sergio Mujica. ISO COPOLCO Chair, Ms. Sari Denton. Delegates from various COPOLCO member countries, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this opening ceremony of ISO COPOLCO Plenary 2023 at New Delhi, India. Our Director General, Mr. Pramod Kumar Tiwari, he also conveys his greetings and gratitude to all the esteemed dignitaries and delegates. He wanted to be here personally, but suddenly he has taken ill. As an active participating member of the ISO Committee on Consumer Policy, BIS takes great pride in hosting this 44th plenary of COPOLCO in India and collaborating with COPOLCO towards a common goal of promoting consumer participation and standardization. As we gather here today, we celebrate the completion of COPOLCO's strategic review in 2022. COPOLCO has made strides in its efforts towards standardization and consumer protection. The approval of new strategic directions for 2022 to 2026 and restructuring of working groups are a testament to COPOLCO's commitment to advancing the interests of consumers across the globe. I'm pleased to acknowledge the significant contribution of the COPOLCO Chair and Secretariat in completing a program of general outreach events on COPOLCO in cooperation with ISO's Membership and External Relations Unit. The open workshop, which was titled Raising the Standards for Sustainable Consumption, was organized by COPOLCO with participation from partner organizations, and it demonstrated the organization's commitment to sustainable development and consumer protection. I'm equally delighted to appreciate that the COPOLCO Secretariat created a consumer-facing interactive thematic event on standards and consumers for ISO's annual meeting. We believe that involving all the stakeholders in standards development process and disseminating information about standards to consumers are crucial for the success of standardization. BIS has implemented outreach activities such as setting up standards clubs in schools and colleges, standardization chairs in institutions of repute, and standardization cells in government departments and industrial associations. We aim to create an informed and aware consumer base that understands the role of standards in their daily lives. Once again, I extend a very hearty welcome to all of you and look forward to fruitful discussion and collaboration towards the goal of promoting consumer participation and standardization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam, for setting the tone of this event through your thought-provoking address. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the pleasure of having with us today Honourable Union Minister of State for Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, and Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, Mr. Ashwini Kumar Chaube ji. Mr. Chaube has formerly held various other portfolios in the Ministries of Health and Family Welfare, Water Resources, and Urban Development, and has done phenomenal work in these sectors. He is accredited to have spread awareness regarding sanitation and cleanliness for villages and thousands of households under Swachh Bharat Mission, an initiative by the Government of India for a clean and a healthy nation. He was instrumental in the digitization of flagship health schemes in the time of pandemic. It is my honor to now invite Honourable Minister of State, Shri Ashwini Kumar Chaube ji, for the special address. Sir.
आज भारत सरकार और तमाम ऐसे विभिन्न देशों से आए हुए हमारे सभी प्रतिनिधिगण को जय हिंद, नमस्कार। उपभोक्ता मामले, खाद्य एवं सार्वजनिक मंत्रालय में मेरी सहयोगी बहना साध्वी श्रीमती निरंजना ज्योति जी, ISO के महासचिव श्री मुजिका जी, ISO उपभोक्ता नीति कोपोल्को की अध्यक्ष सुश्री डेंटन जी, हमारे विभाग के सचिव श्री रोहित कुमार सिंह जी, साथ ही BIS के उप महानिदेशक श्रीमती ममता लाल उपाध्याय और ISO तथा भारत सरकार के सभी वरिष्ठ अधिकारीगण एवं सदस्य देशों के ऑनलाइन जुड़े सभी प्रतिष्ठित प्रतिनिधिगण, देवियों एवं सज्जनों और मीडिया के हमारे सभी बंधुओं, सर्वप्रथम आज इस सम्मेलन में मैं आप सबका स्वागत करते हुए मैं बताना चाहूँगा कि अंतर्राष्ट्रीय जो मानकीकरण संगठन और उसके जो कोपोल्को समिति के इस 44वें 44th जो प्लेनरी सेशन में उपभोक्ता मामले, खाद्य और सार्वजनिक वितरण राज्य मंत्री के रूप में मुझे उपभोक्ता संरक्षण और मानकों के क्षेत्र में विभिन्न राष्ट्रों से यहाँ एकत्रित विशेषज्ञों की जो स्पेशलिस्ट हैं उनकी इस सम्मानित सभा का स्वागत एवं संबोधित करते हुए मुझे हर्ष का अनुभव हो रहा है। मुझे गर्व है कि आज आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी के नेतृत्व और उनके मार्गदर्शन में इस अमृत काल में, आज़ादी के 75वें अमृत वर्ष के बाद इस अमृत काल में भारत G20 से लेकर अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मानकीकरण संगठन जैसे महत्वपूर्ण बैठकों का आयोजन भी कर रहा है। मुझे पूर्ण विश्वास है कि उपभोक्ता एवं मानक क्रांति के इस हमारे सरकार के प्रयासों में ये बैठक मील का पत्थर सिद्ध होगा। हमारी सरकार का मानना है कि उपभोक्ता प्रत्येक आर्थिक आदान प्रदान और के केंद्र में है और वैश्विक अर्थव्यवस्था उसकी आधारशिला भी है। और इसलिए हमारी सरकार का लक्ष्य न सिर्फ उपभोक्ताओं को उनके हितों का संरक्षण करना है, अपितु उपभोक्ता समृद्धि का भी हमारा लक्ष्य रहता है। वो कैसे समृद्धशाली हों, और निश्चित रूप से आवर गोल इज नॉट लिमिटेड टू कंज्यूमर प्रोटेक्शन, वी एम एट कंज्यूमर प्रोस्पेरिटी। तो निश्चित रूप से हम उसकी समृद्धि की बात सोचते हैं, और इसलिए हमारी सरकार द्रुत गति से परिवर्तित हो रहा है और प्रौद्योगिकी, सामाजिक और आर्थिक ये जो परिवेश है उसमें उपभोक्ता हितों को हम सर्वोपरि रखते हुए और लगातार विभिन्न कदम भी हम उठा रहे हैं। भारत ने उपभोक्ता जो हमारे संरक्षण और जो सशक्तिकरण है उसके क्षेत्र में उल्लेखनीय प्रगति भी किया है। जहाँ तक इस दिशा में हमने उपभोक्ता संरक्षण अधिनियम, आपको मालूम है कि 1986 को निरस्त करते हुए हमने उपभोक्ता संरक्षण अधिनियम 2019 को हमने लागू किया है पूरे देश भर में, और जिसका उद्देश्य है उपभोक्ता के अधिकारों का, उनका जो राइट्स है, और साथ साथ उनको और सुदृढ़ करना, मजबूत बनाना और सख्त जो शिकायत निवारण तंत्र का भी स्थापित करना। जैसे कि आपको विदित होगा, विगत कुछ वर्षों में भारत तेजी से डिजिटलीकरण के दौर से गुजर रहा है। हमारे आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने मेक इन इंडिया से लेकर के डिजिटल इंडिया की जो बात 2014 में कही, वो आज गांव-गांव में डिजिटल इंडिया दिखाई पड़ रहा है। मैं जब भी अपने संसदीय क्षेत्र में या बिहार या अन्य क्षेत्रों में दौरा पर जाता हूं, तो मैं पूछता हूं ठेले वाले से, सब्जी बेचने वाले, और वो भी आज डिजिटल इंडिया के कमाल को अगर देखना हो तो गांव-गांव में आप दुकानों पर जाएं, सब्जी वाले के दुकान पर, ठेले वाले, वो भी दिल्ली नहीं बल्कि मैं सुदूर गांव की बात कर रहा हूं। ये है डिजिटलीकरण का एक अभूतपूर्व प्रयोग। और जहां तक डिजिटल लेन देन ने उपभोक्ताओं को और भी अधिक कहा जाए सुलभ और सस्ती सेवाएं प्रदान की है। और कोविड महामारी, आप सभी उससे गुजरे हैं, हम सभी उस महामारी के दौरान भी जो व्यवसाय को हमने सक्रिय रखा है, परंतु इससे उपभोक्ताओं को एक नए जोखिमों से अवगत भी हमने कराया है, जो उपभोक्ताओं के विश्वास, वित्तीय बाजारों को अस्थिर करने और उसके विकास को बाधित करने तथा डिजिटल वित्तीय सेवाओं, जो डिजिटल वित्तीय सेवाओं एवं वित्तीय समावेशन जो है उससे प्राप्त लाभ पर प्रतिकूल प्रभाव डाल रहा है, इसमें भी कहीं दो मत नहीं। पर्याप्त सुरक्षा के बिना उपभोक्ता जो डिजिटल उत्पादों का उपयोग करने में संकोच भी कर सकता है, लेकिन जिसके कारण नई तकनीकों के विकास और जो हमारे उसको अपनाने में जो हम बाधा उत्पन्न भी कई बार हो सकती है। और इसलिए उपभोक्ता संरक्षण को प्राथमिकता देना हम सब लोगों का पुनीत कर्तव्य भी है और वो आवश्यक है, जिससे विश्वास बढ़ाने में और साथ साथ मदद भी हमको मिलेगी। और यह सुनिश्चित किया जा सकता है कि डिजिटल बाजार, जो डिजिटल बाजार है वो सभी के लिए न्यायोचित बना रहे। जहाँ तक इसमें उद्योग का भी हित निहित है, उद्योग जगत को भी हम साथ लेकर के चल रहे हैं। डिजिटल क्रय और विक्रय में एक क्रांतिकारी प्रगति के दृष्टिगत सरकार ने ई कॉमर्स कंपनियों के लिए कुछ नियम भी अधिसूचित किए हैं, जिससे यह सुनिश्चित किया जा सके कि उपभोक्ता ऑनलाइन खरीदारी करते समय वस्तुओं और सेवाओं दोनों की खरीद के दौरान निर्णय लेने में सक्षम रहे और अवांछनीय व्यावसायिक गतिविधियों में वो संरक्षित रहे। जहाँ तक इन नियमों के माध्यम से हमने डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म से संबंधित विक्रेताओं और साथ साथ ई कॉमर्स इकाइयों एवं अन्य हितधारकों जो स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, उनके दायित्व को भी हमने निर्दिष्ट किया है, जिससे केंद्र में उपभोक्ता सशक्तिकरण एवं उपभोक्ता समृद्धि ये जारी रहे। ये हमारा मुख्य रूप से कार्य। इसके बावजूद भी अगर प्रौद्योगिकी और उपभोक्ताओं को किसी भी प्रकार की कोई शिकायत रहती है तो हम उपभोक्ताओं के शिकायत को दर्ज करने और उपभोक्ता संबंधी जो हमारी समस्याओं के निदान के लिए जो राष्ट्रीय उपभोक्ता हेल्पलाइन, उसकी भी स्थापना की गई है राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर। और इस हेल्पलाइन को हमने विभिन्न सेवा प्रदाताओं के नेटवर्क से उसको जोड़ा है, जिससे शिकायतों का त्वरित निदान भी हो, उसका तुरंत समाधान भी हो। उपभोक्ता को और सशक्त करने की दिशा में हमने उत्पादों और सेवाओं की गुणवत्ता, उसकी जो गुणवत्ता है, उससे संबंधित शिकायतें दर्ज करने के लिए देश में उपलब्ध जो एक ही त्रिस्तरीय जो अर्ध न्यायिक को हमने और सुदृढ़, सुगम और कारगर बनाने का उस दिशा में हमने काम किया है। इस त्रिस्तरीय तंत्र के यह जो 3 टायर हमारा एक तंत्र व्यवस्था है, उस शीर्ष पर राष्ट्रीय उपभोक्ता विवाद निवारण आयोग NCDRC और साथ साथ यहाँ उपभोक्ता जो 1 करोड़ रुपया से अधिक मूल्य की वस्तुओं या सेवाओं से संबंधित जो शिकायतों के लिए सीधे इस संपर्क यहाँ से कर सकते हैं। उसी प्रकार इसके पास मध्यस्थता करने, निर्णय लेने और अपने आदेशों के माध्यम से उपभोक्ताओं को राहत प्रदान करने की भी शक्ति प्रदान की गई है। जहाँ तक यह विवाद के समाधान के तत्काल हम कह सकते हैं और कुशल साधन प्रदान करने की दिशा में उपभोक्ताओं के जो अधिकारों को और हितों की रक्षा करने में सहायक सिद्ध होता है। इसके अधिकार और इसके अधिकार क्षेत्र में जो उपभोक्ता मुद्दों की एक विस्तृत श्रृंखला व्यापार नीतियों से भी जुड़े हैं और वो यह सुनिश्चित करने में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाते हैं, जिससे कि व्यवसाय उपभोक्ता संरक्षण उन कानूनों का भी पालन करते हैं और उपभोक्ताओं को धोखाधड़ी से संरक्षित भी करते हैं। इसके अतिरिक्त हमने लीगल जो मेट्रोलॉजी रूल्स, डायरेक्ट सेलिंग रूल्स इत्यादि जो भी है उसको भी हमने अधिसूचित किए हैं। नोटिफाई करने के बाद इसमें जो उचित परिवर्तन हम कर रहे हैं समय समय पर, जिससे तेजी से बदलते आर्थिक परिदृश्य में भी उपभोक्ता सक्षम एवं संरक्षित रहे, इसका प्रयास जारी है। जहाँ तक इस प्रकार हम लगातार विभिन्न जो हमारे हितधारक हैं, जो स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, उनके सुझावों तथा बदलते परिवेश के अनुकूल हम उपभोक्ता समृद्धि की दिशा में एक नए पहल भी हमने समय समय पर लाने का प्रयास किया है। भारत यह सुनिश्चित करने के लिए समर्पित है कि उपभोक्ताओं का संरक्षण, हमारे उपभोक्ताओं का संरक्षण ये बहुत ही हमारे लिए आवश्यक है और उनका सशक्तिकरण हो। और हम इस लक्ष्य को प्राप्त करने के लिए अपने अंतर्राष्ट्रीय जो भागीदार है, जो उनके सहयोग से उसको करने के लिए हम तत्पर भी हैं। और निश्चित रूप से ये भारत का एक कई विशेषता भी है कि हमने तेज़ी से एक दूसरे से जो जुड़ते और इस फ्लैट वर्ल्ड में हम वैश्विक स्तर से उस पर उपभोक्ताओं को लाभ पहुंचाने और प्रासंगिक जो कदम है अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मानकों को निर्धारित करने के लिए अपने अंतर्राष्ट्रीय जो हमारे भागीदार हैं, भागीदारों के साथ अपना नॉलेज शेयर भी करते हैं और उनको अनुभव साझा करने के लिए हम तैयार भी हैं। कोपोल्को की यह बैठक विभिन्न देशों में उपभोक्ता सशक्तिकरण से संबंधित व्यवहार्यता प्रथाओं को जानने एवं सर्वोत्तम प्रथाओं को चुनने एवं अपनाने के लिए उपयुक्त यह एक मंच प्रदान करता है। और यह फोरम जो है बहुत ही सुदृढ़ है और मेरा विश्वास है कि आप सभी प्रतिभागी जितने भी हमारे विभिन्न देशों से प्रतिनिधिगण आए हैं इस मंच का भरपूर उपयोग करेंगे और यह बैठक उपभोक्ता क्रांति की दिशा में एक नई क्रांति लाने का काम करेगा। मुझे विश्वास है ये समुद्र मंथन हो करके, अगर समुद्र मंथन से 14 रत्न निकले और उससे पूरी दुनिया को हमने वो 14 रत्न हमारे लिए कितना बहुमूल्य है। मेरा विश्वास है कि इस मंच के इस बैठक से जरूर अच्छी चीज़ें 14 रत्न के समान इस मंथन से कुछ निकलेगा। हमारा बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद है। आप सबके प्रति हमारी शुभकामनाएं हैं और आप सबका शुभकामना करते हुए मंगल कामना करते हैं। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, माँ कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। सभी सुखी हों, सभी कल्याणकारी हों, पूरा विश्व वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, पूरा विश्व का कल्याण हो। यह जो हमारी सोच है, हमारे आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी इसी सोच को लेकर के दुनिया भर में एक अच्छी दिशा देने का में कामयाब हो रहे हैं। तो मैं आइए, हम पीड़ित मानव की सेवा करने वाले लोग हैं, हम उपभोक्ताओं को जो पीड़ित है, जो शोषित है, हम उसका भी ध्यान रखते हैं और मानव सेवा, माधव सेवा, नर सेवा, नारायण सेवा, जन सेवा, जनार्दन सेवा, इसका संकल्प लेकर के हम समाज, राष्ट्र और विश्व के कल्याण में लगे रहें। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, भारत माता की जय, वंदे मातरम, नमस्कार।
धन्यवाद आदरणीय श्री अश्विनी कुमार चौबे जी। आपने हमेशा ही अपने उद्बोधन द्वारा हमारा मार्गदर्शन किया है। आज उपभोक्ता जागरूकता, संरक्षण एवं सशक्तिकरण पर आपने अपने वचनों से हमें प्रभावित किया। थैंक यू सर। यू हैव ऑलवेज इंस्पायर्ड एंड एंथ्राल्ड एवरीवन by your words. It is always a pleasure to listen to you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also privileged to have with us today Honourable Union Minister of State for Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Rural Development, Government of India, Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti Madam. She has also served as Minister of State for Food Processing Industries in 2014. She has been propagating spirituality throughout the country from a very young age of 14 years and has a remarkable contribution in the upliftment of families and the education of children belonging to vulnerable sections of society. Traveling all over the country, she awakened the public awareness, advocating and promoting social and cultural values among the masses. We have also seen her as an environmental activist who has promoted afforestation and protection of animals. With that, it is my pleasure to invite before all of us Honourable Minister of State Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti Madam for her special address. Madam.
सभी को मेरा नमस्कार। लोग दिख नहीं रहे ना, थोड़ा से आगे कर, थोड़ा सा। सभी को मैं अपनी तरफ से, मंत्रालय की तरफ से नमस्कार करती हूँ और इस बैठक में, सेमिनार में आप सबका हृदय से अभिनंदन करती हूँ। आज के इस कार्यक्रम में भारत और पूरे देश से जुड़े हुए सभी सम्मानित नागरिकों का भी मैं अभिनंदन करती हूँ। आज के इस कार्यक्रम में मेरे वरिष्ठ सहयोगी और बहुत ही सुलझे हुए, एक तरह से मैं कह सकती हूँ कि एक आध्यात्मिक भावना से ओतप्रोत आदरणीय अश्विनी कुमार चौबे जी, इस कार्यक्रम में ISO के महासचिव श्री मुजिका जी, ISO के उपभोक्ता नीति कोपोलो की अध्यक्ष सुश्री टंडन जी और हमारे मंत्रालय के सचिव रोहित कुमार जी, भारतीय मानक ब्यूरो की उप महानिदेशक श्री ममता जी, यहाँ उपस्थित सभागार में और सभा से बाहर ऑनलाइन जुड़े हुए सभी सम्मानित भाइयों बहनों, आज भारत के लिए बेटियों ने बहुत बड़ी खुशखबरी दी है, उसकी भी मैं मीडिया के माध्यम से उनको बहुत बहुत बधाई देती हूँ। जिन बेटियों ने IAS में टॉपर हुई हैं, उन बेटियों को बहुत बहुत मेरी तरफ से और मंच की तरफ से बहुत बहुत शुभकामना। उसमें अश्विनी कुमार जी को भी बधाई देती हूँ। एक बेटी पटना की है जो फर्स्ट आई है, टॉपर आई है, आपके क्षेत्र की है, इसके लिए आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई। दिखाई नहीं पड़ रहा है ना, बहुत लोग, बहुत ऊंचा। आज के इस बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कार्यक्रम में, जिसमें उपभोक्ताओं का संरक्षण और मेरी समझ में, चाहे मंच में बैठे हों चाहे नीचे हों, सभी उपभोक्ता हैं। कहीं ना कहीं मार्केट में, बाजार में या खाने पीने की सामग्री के बिना हम भी नहीं जी सकते हैं। मैं आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री, देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जी का अभिनंदन करती हूँ। कल का जो ऑस्ट्रेलिया का माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का दौरा था, मैं ये कह सकती हूँ देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जी ने इन 9 वर्षों में भारत के अंदर, भारत के बाहर जो भारत का मान सम्मान बढ़ाया है। कल ऑस्ट्रेलिया के अंदर जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का वहाँ के नागरिकों ने स्वागत किया, मुझे लग रहा है भूतो न भविष्यति, इतना जबरदस्त स्वागत हुआ है। इसके लिए हम ऑस्ट्रेलिया में अप्रवासी और वहाँ के नागरिकों का इस मंच के माध्यम से भी मैं उनका भी अभिनंदन करती हूँ। भारत की दृष्टि हमेशा से अयम बंधुर नेति गणना नाम लघु चेत साम वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की धारणा रखने वाला देश हमेशा से एक आध्यात्मिक दृष्टि से, यूं कहूं, यदि मैं स्वामी विवेकानंद जी को देखूं, आदिगुरु आचार्य शंकराचार्य जी के दर्शन को देखूं, तो उन्होंने समाज को एक दर्शन दिया, एक दर्पण दिया। दर्पण माने होता शीशा। ऐसे ही आज के आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी भारत का एक उन्नतशील भारत, प्रगतिशील भारत, जागरूक भारत, हर क्षेत्र में प्रगति करता हुआ भारत, जिसका दर्पण विदेशों की धरती में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के द्वारा उसका हम सब लोगों को दिखाई पड़ता है। आज का जो कार्यक्रम है ये उपभोक्ताओं से संबंधित है। 2014 के बाद से जब के देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जी ने देश की बागडोर संभाली, तब से उपभोक्ताओं का संरक्षण कैसे हो, हमारे मंत्री आदरणीय पीयूष गोयल जी ने पिछले साल एक बैठक में कहा था, कई बार ऐसे मुकदमे होते हैं, उपभोक्ता दायर करता है, दायर करने वाला व्यक्ति चला जाता है और उसका मुकदमा खत्म नहीं होता है। मुझे लग रहा है कि रोहित जी को मालूम होगा कि बहुत तेज गति से उपभोक्ताओं के मुकदमों का निपटारा हुआ है। हम सब लोग कहते हैं भारत एक बहुत बड़ा बाजार है, और मेरा मानना है भारत एक बहुत बड़ा परिवार है जो पूरे विश्व को साथ में लेकर के चलने की क्षमता रखता है। और यही कारण है कि भारत ने कृषि के क्षेत्र में, आध्यात्मिक क्षेत्र में, आदरणीय हमारे वरिष्ठ मंत्री और मेरे बड़े भाई आदरणीय पीयूष जी का आगमन हो रहा है, उनका करतल ध्वनि से स्वागत करेंगे, अभिनंदन करेंगे। बहुत बहुत मंच की ओर से आपका स्वागत है। आपके अनुपस्थिति में हम लोगों ने कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत कर दी, और आपकी व्यस्तता हम समझते हैं, आपकी व्यस्तता इतनी है जिन व्यस्तताओं के कारण आज मंत्रालय, चाहे कोई भी मंत्रालय हो, आज गति कर रहा है। तो मैं आपके सामने एक बात कह रही थी कि भारत विश्व की दृष्टि में बाजार होगा, भारत को लोग बाजार मानते होंगे, लेकिन भारत की दृष्टि विश्व को बाजार नहीं मानता। भारत की दृष्टि विश्व को बाजार नहीं, पूरे विश्व को भारत परिवार मानता है। और ये हमारा शास्त्र का वाक्य है, वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, जिसको लेकर के माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक थीम चलाई कि हम पूरे विश्व को अपना परिवार मान करके काम करेंगे। उपभोक्ताओं का संरक्षण करने की जिम्मेदारी हम सबकी है। हम उनका संरक्षण कैसे कर सकते हैं? अभी हमारे अश्विनी जी कह रहे थे कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के कारण आज गांव का व्यक्ति भी जागरूक हो चुका है। सब्जी बेचने वाला, चाय बेचने वाला, आटा बेचने वाला, वो भी डिजिटल लेन देन कर रहा है। तो ये माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की देन है, ये जो जागरूकता आई है। आज जागरूकता का परिणाम ये है, मैं आदरणीय मंत्री जी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देती हूँ कि जब हम 2014 में इस विभाग में माननीय मंत्री जी के साथ सरकार ने विभाग को संभाला, बहुत सारे केसेस पेंडिंग पड़े हुए थे, जिनको माननीय मंत्री जी ने कहा कि इनको समयबद्ध तरीके से खत्म करना चाहिए। और मुझे लग रहा है कि आज रोहित जी को मालूम होगा, माननीय मंत्री जी को भी मालूम होगा, बहुत सारे ऐसे केसेज हैं जो निपटने की कगार पर आ चुके हैं। उपभोक्ताओं का संरक्षण देना हमारा काम है, उपभोक्ताओं का अच्छा माल मिल सके। एक और विषय है मेरा, मैं सोच रही थी कि अभी बहुत सारा बिना उपभोक्ता विभाग की अनुमति के भी बहुत सारा प्रचार चल रहा है, उस प्रचार पर भी हमें ध्यान देना पड़ेगा। उपभोक्ता जब खा लेता है, बीमार होता है, जिंदगी से हाथ धो बैठता है, तो मुझे लग रहा है कि हम यहाँ पूरे विश्व के लोग बैठे हैं, इन विषयों पर भी चिंतन करना चाहिए कि अमेजोन के माध्यम से तो मंगाया जाता है, लेकिन कई बार हमने देखा कि वो वस्तु खाने लायक नहीं होती है, फिर भी हम लोग उस पर फोकस करके मंगाते हैं। खाने पीने वाली चीज़ों में बहुत ध्यान देने की ज़रूरत है। माननीय मंत्री जी के कारण हॉलमार्क के क्षेत्र में बहुत तेजी से काम हुआ है। हर प्रदेश में हॉलमार्क के केंद्र खुल रहे हैं, लोग उसको अब समझ भी रहे हैं। प्रचार प्रसार के माध्यम से भी यह विभाग बहुत तेज गति से काम कर रहा है। मैं माननीय मंत्री जी का अभिनंदन करती हूँ। आप सबके साथ ताली बजा करके स्वागत करेंगे। इसलिए स्वागत करेंगे कि वो जो गांव का कंज्यूमर है, गांव का उपभोक्ता है, आज वो भी जागरूक हुआ है, तो इस विभाग के कारण हुआ है और माननीय मंत्री जी और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के कारण हुआ है। आज छोटा सा बाजार में कोई सुई भी खरीदता है, उसको भी समझ के लेता है कि ये सही माल है कि गलत है। एक कैंची जो काटने वाली चीज होती है उसको भी खरीदता है, तो भी देख करके खरीदता है। तो ये जागरूकता का परिणाम है। बस इतने में कहना चाहती हूँ, हमारा विभाग जोड़ने का काम करता है, समाज को जोड़ करके काम करने का हमारा विभाग काम कर रहा है। आज के दिन में इतने ही आप सबसे अपील करती हूँ कि आप लोग चिंतन करेंगे। इन चिंतन शिविर में, इन चिंतन मीटिंगों में, इन सेमिनारों में जो समाज के हित में हो उस विषय पर जरूर हमें फोकस करना चाहिए। हम लोग तोड़ने के लिए नहीं, भारत जोड़ने का काम करता है। इसीलिए मैंने पहले सूत्र में बोला कि वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, जो हमारी अभी थीम जिसकी G20 की भारत अध्यक्षता कर रहा है, उसका वो नारा ही है वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, सबको जोड़ करके चलने का। इतना ही अनुरोध करती हुई मैं वाणी पर विराम देती हूँ और माननीय मंत्री जी का फिर से स्वागत करती हूँ। हम लोगों ने पहले कार्यक्रम शुरू कर दिया, मंत्री जी बाद में आए। यदि मंत्री जी बहुत मेहनती हैं, मैं उनके सामने तारीफ नहीं कर रही हूँ। आज आपको लग रहा होगा क्योंकि आज पूरे देश से और पूरे बाहर से जुड़े हुए हैं। मैं 14 से लगातार देख रही हूँ कि जो भी विभाग माननीय मंत्री जी को सौंपा गया उसको बहुत पारदर्शिता से, साफ सुथरे तरीके से काम किया है और वो मंत्रालय अपने आप दिखाई पड़ने लगता है। मैं परसों अभी कल ही लखनऊ में बैठी थी, ऐसे चर्चा होने लगी रेलवे विभाग की, तो मैंने कहा रेलवे विभाग में पहले क्या था 2014 के पहले, तो आए दिन एक्सीडेंट सुनाई पड़ता था। रेल अच्छी चली ये नहीं सुनाई पड़ता था, रेल लेट पहुंची ये सुनाई पड़ता था। लेकिन मंत्री जी ने जब रेलवे विभाग संभाला, एक्सीडेंट होना खत्म हो गया और जहाँ कोई भी ट्रेन लेट नहीं होती, ये भी मंत्री जी की शुरुआत थी जब शुरू में उन्होंने कार्यभार संभाला था। तो जो भी मंत्रालय, मैं तो कहती हूँ कि ये माननीय पीयूष जी, जो भी मंत्रालय गड़बड़ हो पीयूष जी को दे दिया जाए, अपने आप ठीक कर देंगे। इनके लिए ताली बजा कर जरा दो जोर से स्वागत करेंगे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद साध्वी निरंजन ज्योति मैडम। आपने अपने वचनों द्वारा हम सभी का मार्गदर्शन किया एवं उपभोक्ता संरक्षण के परिप्रेक्ष्य में अपने विचार रखे, उसने हमें प्रभावित किया। Thank you, madam, for your inspiring words and a thoughtful special address. We are now joined by, and it is indeed our pleasure to have amongst us Honourable Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Textiles, Government of India, Shri Piyush Goyal ji. I would request respected ADG BIS, Ms. Mamta Upadhyay Lal madam, to kindly welcome Honourable Minister.
Take this home as a memory for today's service that you're doing to the country. Take it home.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the pleasure of having with us today Mr. Piyush Goyal, Honourable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs and Food and Public Distribution, and Textiles, Government of India. He has formerly held various other portfolios like Ministry of Railways, Finance, Corporate Affairs, Coal, Power, New and Renewable Energy and Mines, and has done remarkable work in these sectors. Mr. Piyush Goyal has had a brilliant academic record and has also received the 4th Annual Carnet Prize in 2018, recognizing the path-breaking transformations in the India's energy sector. Under the presently held Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Mr. Piyush Goyal has led the implementation of the world's largest food security program. So without any further delay, I would like to now request and invite Honourable Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, for the inaugural address. Sir.
The good news is I've not been too well, so my throat is down. So you won't have to bear me for very long. My colleague ministers, Shri Ashwini Kumar Chaube ji, Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti ji, Secretary, Department of Consumer Affairs, Shri Rohit Singh ji, Mr. Sergio Mujica, Secretary General of the ISO, Madam Sadie Denton, the Chairperson of COPOLCO, Deputy DG of BIS, all the distinguished participants who have come for the 44th plenary meeting of the ISO Technical Committee on Consumer Policy from across the world. Very, very warm welcome to all the esteemed delegates, friends from India, from the government, from the private sector, industry, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. We complete 9 years in government day after tomorrow. 9 years dedicated to serving every section of society, making a difference to the lives of 1.4 billion Indians, working with a single-minded focus. How can we make India regain its lost glory? How can we strengthen the India story to be able to attract investments, greater international trade, make India an important player in the global economy, in global multilateral institutions? How can we bring back India's stature on the global stage? And as I reflect on this 9-year journey, one of the important aspects of this journey has been the quality of governance. And why I started with this is that quality is not an abstract term. Quality is not for only goods. Quality is not only about how you provide a service. Quality is omnipresent. It's almost all-encompassing when it comes to meeting the needs of any country, any person across the world. And therefore, for us, it's a matter of great privilege that the ISO Committee on Consumer Policy has given us an opportunity to host their plenary meeting in New Delhi, in India. I'm indeed delighted to see the presence of several experts on consumer policy with us today, because quality is what the consumer today is demanding. Very often when I'm asked which is that one area or one department by which you can have maximum impact across the country, it's the Consumer Affairs Ministry. Because every single person living in India, citizen or non-citizen, everybody resident in India, temporarily or permanently, everyone is a consumer. And the all-encompassing width of influence good quality can have on the Indian economy, on our future as a nation, on our businesses, our ability to attract more investments, grow our export or international trade, all of it will center around a happy consumer, a satisfied consumer. And there can be no issue more important to a consumer than getting high quality goods and services at competitive prices. Of course, we can add at the right time, at the right place, in the right manner. All of those things will be also having an influence of quality on them. The quality of delivery, quality of payment systems, the quality of post-sale service in every aspect of life. One can jolly well take the view whether there's a thought of quality in where we are right now. I mean, for example, if they had not focused on a good audio system and the quality was not good, I may not have been able to communicate to you. In case they had not put these markers on the steps that we have, possibly somebody could have overstepped or tripped. Every single aspect boils down to consumer satisfaction, and consumer can only be satisfied when we are able to meet his intrinsic needs for a high quality product or service. In fact, consumer rights, consumer safety, all of these, and ultimately consumer satisfaction are extremely important in this highly globalized world, the ecosystem that we are all working and living in, where everything is available at a click of a button. Very often you buy or accept goods and services without even necessarily getting a look and feel of it, particularly with the technology revolution that we see all around us. And therefore, quality and consumers will, in the years to come, play a very crucial role in shaping markets and driving economic growth. Consumer protection, to my mind, is an integral part of governance for all of us. And for India, it's not as if we've woken up to consumer protection in the recent past or because the world is demanding it. If I may quote, for those of you who may have read some history, and for our esteemed guests from other parts of the world, one of our oldest texts, it's called the Atharva Ved. Few thousand years old, this was penned down. It has been mentioned there must be no wrongdoing while weighing. When you weigh any product, there must be no wrongdoing in that. This was recognized in our texts thousands of years ago. We have a document which is called the Artha Shastra. It translates to economic policy. This is the economic policy that was articulated by a very, very renowned Indian several centuries ago. The Artha Shastra, Kautilya's Artha Shastra, as I think the Indian audience would, or the Indians in the room would recognize. Kautilya's Artha Shastra has references to consumer safeguards against exploitation. It also has, of course, deep reference to legal metrology. So this is something which, in a way, today, we are trying to reclaim what was recognized and appreciated so many hundreds of years ago. We are only trying to bring back the attention of the country and make the Indian consumer more demanding, make the Indian consumer more aware, integrate our processes to make quality the center of all the work that we are doing so that we can work with the rest of the world with confidence. I think Mahatma Gandhi ji, the father of the nation, had rightly said, and I quote, the customer is the most important visitor on our premises. They are not dependent on us. We are dependent on them. He said it in the context of business, but I think it jolly well applies to all of us, whether the Bureau of Indian Standards or the government or our department or we as politicians or ministers. We'll ultimately have to seriously reflect on the needs, the demands of the time, what our customers expect from each one of us. For me, possibly the customer could be in the political arena, my voter. For somebody in BIS, it possibly could be industry players. Will also be the consumer because they are tasked with the job of ensuring that quality standards are enforced and met. For the department or the government, it will be the satisfaction of every citizen of the country in a manner which is non-interfering, non-detrimental to their progress, to their growth. Businesses have to prosper, but so has the customer interest, which has to be protected. This fine balance is the job of all of us, and I think that is where the technical committees come into play. How can they make themselves more relevant? How can they make themselves more contemporary? How can they keep abreast of what's happening, what's evolving? The case in point I can share with you probably yesterday or day before. A group of business persons and persons from the agricultural field met me on certain quality control issues related to the textile sector. And I thought what they had said made sense, it resonated with me. Now, I have a choice here. I can stand on prestige. I'm also handling textiles, so textiles and BIS have together decided that a particular quality control order should come in. The specs were decided by BIS in consultation with industry and all stakeholders. Textile recommended that the QCO should be put up. The Director General of Foreign Trade or the Commerce Ministry implemented it as a quality control order without which you cannot do business in that. So I have a leg in all three. But should I stand on prestige, or is it my duty to my constituents, to the people of India, to all the stakeholders in the ecosystem, to give it a thought with an open mind? And that precisely, as I can understand it, my briefing about this has been as much as about 3 minutes car drive to this venue. But as much as I can see, I think the big message for all of us, particularly for us in the BIS and the ministry, is a very responsive administration and therefore a responsive set of technical committees who will, while protecting consumer interest, consumer demand for safety, will also ensure its affordability, practicality, implementability, and this fine balance is really what we are all set out to do. In fact, the Honourable Prime Minister articulated this very well, and I'd like to quote Prime Minister Modi. Consumers play an important role in the economy. The government of India is not only focusing on consumer protection, but also consumer prosperity. So affordable availability of goods, services, and all areas incidental thereto are areas which will enhance consumer prosperity, consumer satisfaction, towards which I think we are all collectively responsible. Friends, India today is the 5th largest economy in the world. We've advanced from, in the last decade, from the 11th largest to the 5th largest. I see before my eyes next 4 or 5 years, we'll be the 3rd largest economy in the world. We already support the world's largest population, which today, given our young population, the huge talent that we have, the skills that we deploy, is our biggest strength. We are a bright spot, the one area in the world which can power, which can drive the world economy, and recognized as such not only by world leaders but also by multilateral organizations like the IMF or the World Bank. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has taken India to greater heights in terms of our acceptability around the world. It is no mean situation to be in that almost every part of the world, every developed country in the world wants to expand trade and business and investment with India. A market of 1.4 billion aspirational Indians willing to work hard, willing to put their best foot forward, willing to contribute to economic growth for their own prosperity, for a better future for themselves and their families, for a better quality of life, is driving India, India's aspirations, India's growth momentum, India's future. We have a great opportunity. My apologies, I have a terrible throat, and I've given 5 speeches since morning with this. It's a great opportunity for us. And I have said this on many occasions when I met with colleagues from the BIS, that we have to change the country's mindset to accept quality. Quality is not expensive, doesn't come at a cost. In fact, with my own experience running industry, quality reduces cost, reduces waste, helps you get better market, helps you expand scale. And by coincidence or otherwise, since morning till now, on almost every engagement, quality has been the biggest focus. I started the day at the annual general meeting of the Confederation of Indian Industry. And while talking about where I see the Indian economic story go, I spoke about 3 important elements which will determine India's fate. Since I was at a business event, I used a business terminology. Some of you may have heard QIP. There are these qualified investment placement, or QIP is a term very often used in the finance world for qualified institutional investments being offered shares in the stock market on a preferential basis. So you come out with a QIP instead of a IPO or a follow-on offer of shares. The QIP stands for quality, innovation, and the people talent that we have. And I think it's very appropriate, at the cost of repetition, that I share with you that my own understanding is that BIS and the Consumer Affairs Department can play a game-changing role when it comes to India's future, our own tryst with the destiny of 1.4 billion Indians. And therefore, friends, we have a unique opportunity. Let us all work together. Let us make India a quality-conscious nation. Let us all learn from the experiences of friends from the ISO and other member countries who have joined us today. I would urge our own BIS officials, ministry officials, to engage more with them, to understand their ideas, their thoughts, how they have approached quality in their countries, how they are able to implement quality standards seamlessly, efficiently. Wherever possible, let us try and harmonize our own policies, our own standards with the rest of the world, particularly when we are looking at greater engagement of India in the international economy. And once we accept that what we are doing is not just merely a job, but is service to our nation, service to our brothers and sisters, service to 1.4 billion Indians, I think work will be fun, work will be satisfying, and the outcomes will be truly game-changing for the nation. My best wishes to your plenary 2023. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Thank you for your indulgence. I've been in a series of programs all through the day, hence couldn't join you earlier. But I'll certainly take a feedback from you on the proceedings of the entire conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your thoughtful and inspiring address on the matters related to consumers and quality of products, which could be seen resonating amply by the loud cheer and applause by this august gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce before yourselves our esteemed guest, Mr. Sergio Mujica, Secretary General, ISO. Sergio Mujica joined ISO as a Secretary General in July 2017, having spent 7 years at the World Customs Organization, WCO, as Deputy Secretary General, wherein he was responsible for the design and implementation of the WCO's strategic plan for simplification, harmonization, and standardization of customs procedures, in addition to capacity building initiatives. This gave him significant experience in an international setting, building consensus within a large membership-based organization. Prior to this, Mr. Mujica served for 15 years for the government of Chile. A Chilean national, he has a law degree and a master's degree in international law from the American University. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Honourable Minister needs to leave for some exigencies, we would like to sincerely thank him for sparing his time from his busy schedule and for gracing this opening ceremony of COPOLCO Plenary. Thank you, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Mr. Sergio Mujica, Secretary General ISO. May I now invite Mr. Sergio Mujica for sharing the message from ISO. Sir.
Honourable Ministers, Excellencies, dear colleagues, dear friends. It is a great pleasure to participate in the 44th plenary meeting of COPOLCO, our Consumer Policy Committee. It's been 4 years, actually, since last time we met in person, and we are so happy to be together, bringing the voice of consumers to the ISO system. And this is thanks to you, to the Indian government, to BIS, and I want to express my sincere appreciation for your warm hospitality and for the very professional organization of this event. We are making us from all around the world feel at home. ISO was created in 1947 by 25 countries, India being one of them. So you are one of the founders of ISO. And at that time, the world was facing a big challenge because right after World War II, we needed to rebuild the world. And at that time, it was already understood that we needed international standards for economic and social development. It was understood that international standards would bring a positive message of quality and excellence. Let's imagine a group of experts working by consensus, thinking, what is the best way of? What is the best way of creating a product, conducting a process, providing a service? Through international standards, we can also protect our people, to protect our planet, which is so needed today. So, what is it what we bring to the world? We bring a portfolio of 25,000 international standards. But it's not only the what, it's the how what makes ISO who we are. It's the way we create our standards with good governance, taking decisions by consensus, working in an inclusive manner, working in a transparent manner, and bringing the voice of developing countries and consumers in the standard development process. It's been 75 years since ISO was created, and we face new challenges today. We live in a very challenging economic times with the geopolitical context, with the inflation, with the crisis of commodities. We live in an unprecedented crisis of trust. And for an organization that works by consensus, this is particularly difficult. And we need to bring that trust to the world. And we are also facing the so-called triple planetary crisis about climate change, which is not a promise for the future, it's a reality today, with 30 million people displaced every year because of climate change. Pollution, plastics, air pollution that cause over 3 million deaths every year, and biodiversity. And this triple planetary crisis, as I was mentioning this morning during the plenary session, cannot be tackled in isolation. We need to face it in a holistic manner, and that's what ISO can bring to the table here. So to address those challenges, we have a strategy aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. And the ISO vision does not even mention standards or technical solutions. It's a human-centric vision because we put our standards to bring people's a better life. That's what we want to do. We want to put human being at the center of what we do. And we have our strategic goals about all voices heard and our priorities about diversity and inclusivity, which means that consumers are at the core of our strategy. We need more of your voice to make sure that ISO can deliver on our strategy. So it's in this context that I would like to thank once again all the participants of the COPOLCO plenary, because we need your voice so we are successful as an organization. And I'd like to thank again BIS and the government of India for hosting us this week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio, for sharing the message and vision of ISO on the importance of consumer participation in standard formulation. Esteemed gathering, we also have the pleasure of having with us today Mr. Rohit Kumar Singh, Secretary, Consumer Affairs. Mr. Rohit Kumar Singh is a seasoned bureaucrat from an Indian Administrative Services, from the Indian Administrative Services of India of the 1989 batch. After graduating in electrical engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology, BHU, he completed Masters in Computer Engineering from Clarkson University, New York, before joining the services. Subsequently, he obtained Masters in Public Administration from Harvard University, USA. He has worked extensively and provided leadership at the middle and senior levels in the Government of India in various departments. With that, may I now invite Mr. Rohit Kumar Singh for delivering the keynote address. Sir.
Namaste. Honourable Minister of State, Shri Ashwini Kumar Chaubey ji, Honourable Minister of State, Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti ma'am, Secretary General ISO, Mr. Sergio Mujica, Chairperson COPOLCO, Ms. Sally Danton, our Additional Director General from BIS, Srimati Mamta Upadhyay, senior officers from BIS, distinguished delegates who are participating in this event, members of voluntary consumer organizations from India. I can see many faces here. My friends from the media, my colleagues from the ministry. I want to extend a very formal, warm welcome on behalf of Government of India to everybody who's participating in today's event. Honourable Minister, the Union Minister and Honourable State Ministers have covered a lot of aspects of how consumer protection and consumer movement is taking off in India and how every day we are taking new steps, new decisions to protect the interest of consumers. It's always a challenge to, and sometimes it's tricky also, because we are asked not to interfere with the functioning of industry. We are asked to facilitate ease of doing business for the industry so that we don't become an impediment to economic growth. But at the same time, we have to protect the interests of the consumer also. So it's a tricky job that we have at our hands, but we are trying to do our best. Today's theme is very appropriate, as the Secretary General said, empowering consumers for a sustainable future. What standards can do? I think it's a very interesting topic, and time has now come to focus on this issue. India, under the leadership of Honourable Prime Minister, is already a front runner in handling climate change issues, whether it is the COP27 or many other platforms. We are ahead. We are very aggressively pushing the use of non-renewable energy sources. We have abundant solar power in India, which we are further pushing it aggressively so that the dependence on conventional fuel is reduced. Mr. Secretary General, I was attending one of your events in Abu Dhabi about 6 months back, and we had some colleagues from BIS there. And I attended a small session on the same theme. And I'm very enamored by what the speaker said. I'm forgetting who the speaker was. But he said that for circular economy to succeed, it would take 3 to tango: the consumer, the producer, and the policy makers. And I think consumer has to be at the center of it. The whole thing has to be demand driven. Unless the consumer starts asking for products that are green, that are sustainable, the industry would not play along. So I think this is a very appropriate theme, that how consumer has to push this. And I want to caution some of us who think that recycling is sustainability. Recycling is not sustainability. It has to be driven upstream. It has to be driven from the production process. If you just focus on downstream, which is recycling and reducing the carbon footprint, you're not doing even half of the job. But if you address the supply side, if you address the issues of production, if the production is sustainable, if the product coming out of those production lines are sustainable, then the job is 70% done. And that has to be driven by the consumer. So it's not the carbon footprint which is important. It is the resource efficiency that is important. How efficiently you are using your resources to come up with a product. It's a little counterintuitive, but I think the time has come to shift our thinking from downstream to upstream. Unless the stakeholders realize, and when I say stakeholders, it's all the industry, the consumer, and everyone, including the government, that green returns are more important than financial returns. Unless it gets embedded into our thought process, decision-making process, we will not make adequate progress on this front. So we have to value green returns more than financial returns. It's a tough ask. It will take a lot of time to seep in, but it is bound to happen if we have to save our planet. In India, as was also mentioned by honorable ministers, Prime Minister himself is driving this. He has launched a program called Mission Life. Life stands for Lifestyle for Environment, which actually is doing what this conference is all about, which is pushing the citizens of India to a lifestyle which is sustainable, which will result into demand for products that are sustainable. But having done that, how is the consumer assured that this product is green? That is where the standards come into play. That is where the labels come into play. If the standards certify through a label or through any other form of information that this product is sustainable, when the consumer is going to buy, his confidence level is up, and he will even be willing to pay a little more if the product is helping the environment. There are several examples in the world. I have a few. For example, the fair trade standards. They are applicable in some geographies. They specify that the farmers who have grown coffee or cocoa have been paid fair value for the product. So a consumer which is buying a product which is certified by fair trade standard, he knows that it is coming from a region where farmer has not been exploited. That is one example. The other example is Rainforest Alliance standards. So Rainforest Alliance standards, I don't know whether a part of the ISO ecosystem or outside. If they are outside, maybe ISO should think of incorporating such or similar standards in your ecosystem. Rainforest Alliance standards ensure that the product which is certified is ensuring that environmental protection norms have been followed while developing this product. In India, we have Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and if you see the air conditioners, you will see those star ratings. So if an air conditioner is rated 4-star, that means that it is more energy efficient than an air conditioner which is rated 3-star or 2-star. So that is one way. Now, when I speak to my colleagues in BIS, and there are many stalwarts sitting here, they say that BIS is not meant to grade. It's a yes-no kind of, it's a 0-1 kind of a situation. This is standard. If you conform, yes. If you don't conform, you're not conforming to the standard. But I think from the theme of today's workshop, the time has come. I'm not saying BIS should do it. Some agency should also get into grading of products, especially for environments. Now, Bureau of Energy Efficiency in India does it. Also, there is an organization called Forest Stewardship Council, FSC. It ensures that wood products which are coming, which you want to buy, are coming from forests that are managed sustainably, that are not being demolished, that are not being destroyed. So all this is providing information to the consumer to make informed choices. Now, all this is good, but there is also a fear because all businesses are not engaging in best practices. So there is a new phenomenon that has emerged, and our friends from across the globe would know. It's called greenwashing. What is greenwashing? Greenwashing is labeling a product green, whereas actually it is not that green. So companies indulge in unnecessary exaggeration of the climate protection features of the product, whereas it is not. So while we should provide information to the consumer in the right way, we should also have checks and balances. That is not BIS's job, that is job of Ministry of Consumer Affairs, to ensure that consumers are protected against greenwashing. As Honourable Minister referred, it is not an easy task. We have to keep engaging with the stakeholders. I remember an example from BIS of last year. I think from July last year, India banned use of single-use plastic. Now the industry was very worried as to, suppose we come up with a new product, how will it be benchmarked, whether it is single-use plastic or not, and what are the standards for biodegradable plastic? I think BIS, I must compliment the team that rose to the occasion. They quickly came up with those standards before the deadline, and now we have a system where biodegradable plastic have standards. I'm just coming from a meeting where Mr. Pant from BIS was there, and we were discussing concerns of the cement industry. Now BIS has a standard which says for strength and for resisting carbonation and corrosion, the quantity of clinker in cement should be raised from 35 to 45%. Good point. I mean, they have studies. But if you increase the clinker content, you are reducing the possibility of fly ash and other eco-friendly materials to be used in construction. Now, you have a tricky situation. You have strength on one side, you have environment friendliness on the other side. So how do you strike a balance? So that is the constant challenge, and I would again quote my minister that we have to constantly, it's not a static thing, it's a dynamic thing. We have to constantly engage with all stakeholders, the scientists, the experts from BIS, the industry, the researchers, and come up with the best possible solution which will meet the objectives of that particular point in time. So I would stop here and again welcome all the participants on behalf of Government of India that have traveled long distances. Chile is a long way. Oh, you live in Switzerland? Okay, I take it back. So Switzerland is not that long way. But anyway, it's an 8-hour flight. So I welcome everyone who has traveled long distances. Please, after engaging in the deliberations in the committee, Delhi has so many tourist spots, very nice places to eat. Don't just eat in 5-star hotels. Go and try the street food. Be careful for the water, but street food is astonishing. And this is the G20 year, so we are at our best when it comes to offering hospitality. Please enjoy our hospitality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your perceptive insights on consumer policy and your thoughtful vision on this important subject. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the pleasure of having with us today Ms. Sadie Danton, Chairperson COPOLCO. Ms. Sadie is the head of consumer policy at BSI and leads consumer policy activities and is responsible for building and sustaining a strong consumer stakeholder input to British standards at a governance, policy, and technical level. She has actively participated in COPOLCO since 1997 and has played an instrumental role developing and delivering consumers and standards training to ISO and CI members from emerging and developing countries. Prior to joining BSI, Ms. Sedi worked in the consumer movement for more than 30 years. So without much ado, I would now like to invite Ms. Sedi Denton for sharing with us today the theme of the plenary. Madam.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Honourable Ministers, BIS Director General Additional, and ISO Director General, and all of you who have patiently listened to the interesting interventions this afternoon. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Government of India and BIS for their commitment and support of COPOLCO, not only in hosting this year's plenary, but also bringing together consumer voices for the National Consumer Engagement Day taking place this Friday. ISO COPOLCO members are honoured to be here and have been greeted so warmly by everyone. COPOLCO is the body that provides and advocates for this vital link between standards and consumer stakeholders. Through its national members, regional standards bodies, and its liaison with Consumers International and ANIC. The vital role that consumer groups play in society was recently endorsed by UNCTAD, who commented that they recommended that national governments rally consumer groups in improving product safety and consumer awareness, stating that civil society organizations have a crucial role in educating, advising, and representing consumers to enforce their rights. After 45 years of the existence of COPOLCO, COPOLCO must make dramatic changes and reflect that consumers' lives have been impacted in all corners of the world. The recent pandemic caused a temporary pause in everyday lives. And at the same time, fast-forwarded the global consumer with the evolution of digitalization, the use of AI, machine learning, and cross-border e-commerce. It has also brought a growing consumer awareness of new risks emerging from the digitally instantly connected world, the impact of climate change, and the imperative creating access to a sustainable society for all, especially those most vulnerable. COPOLCO has paved the way within the last decade, initiating ISO 26000 social responsibility and standards for second-hand goods, and has already recognized the importance and relevance of developing standards to protect consumers from emerging risks. Whether it be to initiate an ISO standard to identify and respond to consumer vulnerability, or protect consumers' privacy and security online. Now COPOLCO needs to focus its priorities to play its part in delivering ISO's climate commitment. We all have a part to play in enabling the world's 8 billion citizens and its future generations to have a safe and a sustainable future. So it's vital that consumer and other underrepresented groups are able to bring their expertise and knowledge to ensure that standards are credible, robust, and impactful. Standards can help both protect and inform society by providing best practice, practical tools to all stakeholders to make sure that our food, our transport, the products and services we use has the least impact on climate change and our finite resources, such as clean air, water, and energy. The COPOLCO Open Workshop being hosted by BIS at the Vigyan Bhawan Conference Centre tomorrow, empowering consumers for a sustainable future. What can standards do? Will set a roadmap for COPOLCO's future actions. Exploring standard solutions, consumer and sustainability experts from India and COPOLCO's membership will explore how standards can empower consumers to access more sustainable lifestyles. Through its standards and policy, ISO can contribute so much to the consumer's ability to live sustainably. COPOLCO, in its mission to promote awareness and understanding of consumer needs, behaviors, and experiences, together with harnessing the wealth of policy experience and data held by international consumer protection agencies and organizations and agencies, will play its part in helping standards give the opportunity to all consumers and their stakeholders to live in a world that is safe and sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dainton, for wonderfully elaborating on the theme of this plenary, stressing upon the significance of having robust consumer policies. We've all had the privilege and honor of listening to our esteemed dignitaries on the dais who shared their vision and ideas on consumer policy. Before we conclude this session, I would like to request ADG BIS to kindly present mementos to our esteemed dignitaries on the dais as a token of gratitude from BIS. I would request ADG Madam to kindly present the memento to Honourable Minister of State, Shri Ashwini Kumar Chaube ji. Madam. Thank you, Madam. Thank you, sir. I would now request ADG Madam to kindly present the memento to Honourable Minister of State, Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti Madam. May I now request ADG Madam to kindly present the memento to Secretary Consumer Affairs, Shri Rohit Kumar Singh ji. Thank you, Madam. Thank you, sir. I now request Madam to kindly present memento to our esteemed guest, Secretary General ISO, Mr. Sergio Mujica. Thank you, Madam. And I would now request ADG Madam to kindly present memento to Chairperson COPOLCO, Ms. Sadie Denton. Thank you, Madam. We've come to the concluding session, and now I would request Mr. Rajiv Sharma, Deputy Director General, Standardization 1, BIS, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks. Sir.
Honourable Minister of State, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Government of India, Shri Ashwini Kumar Chaube ji, Honourable Minister of State, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Government of India, Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti ji, ISO Secretary General Mr. Sergio Mujica, Secretary Consumer Affairs, Government of India, Shri Rohit Kumar Singh ji, ISO COPOLCO Chair Ms. Sadi Denton, Additional Director General BIS, Shrimati Mamta Upadhyay Lalji, delegates participating in the ISO COPOLCO plenary, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and namaste. On behalf of the organizing committee and myself, I stand before you to express my heartfelt gratitude and extend warm vote of thanks to your presence and participation in the opening ceremony of the 44th plenary of the ISO COPOLCO. As has been mentioned by the dignitaries, this is the first face-to-face meeting of the ISO COPOLCO on consumer policy after the world witnessed an unprecedented global health crisis. Therefore, this is really a special and proud moment for BIS for being able to host this meeting. First and the foremost, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Honourable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Textiles, Government of India, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, whose presence shows India's commitment to the international standardization and issues relating to consumers. We are deeply honored. We are deeply honored to have him with us in the opening ceremony, and this has a great significance as he is also the in charge of the Commerce and Industry Ministry as well as the Consumer Affairs Ministry in the Government of India. His valuable insights and inspiring words have enlightened all of us, and we are grateful to him that he took out time from his busy schedule to join us for the inaugural ceremony. I would also like to extend our gratitude to Honourable Minister of State and Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Government of India, Shri Ashwini Kumar Chaube ji, and Honourable Minister of State, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Government of India, Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti ji, who graced this event with their distinguished presence. Respected Sir and Madam, your commitment to the public service, wisdom and leadership in the field, especially in the area of consumer empowerment and consumer protection, are a source of inspiration for all of us. You have been ensuring the policies framed by the government are designed in such a fashion that the interests of the consumers are protected in the fast-moving world. Your addresses have not only enlightened us on the various steps taken by the Government of India to empower consumers to take informed decisions while procuring goods and services and to protect the consumers from the spurious products, but also provided insights on the subjects that need to be taken up for standardization to support the policymakers in the endeavors of empowering the consumers. Your insightful words have also motivated us to strive for excellence in our respective fields. I would also like to thank ISO Secretary General Mr. Sergio Mujica and ISO COPOLCO Chair Ms. Sadi Denton for giving BIS this excellent opportunity to host this meeting in New Delhi, India, and for sharing the practices in the field of consumer engagement and capacity building. Further, I also appreciate the constant support extended by both of you for sharing the requirements of organizing and conducting this meeting successfully. A special thanks to Secretary Consumer Affairs, Government of India, Shri Rohit Kumar Singh ji, for sharing his deep insights on empowerment of the consumers. Sir has also rightly pointed out that to ensure the consumers' interests are protected in over-changing world and in the time of globalization, it is essential that the policymakers and the standards bodies work in tandem. I also express my gratitude in his absence to Mr. Pramod Kumar Tiwari, Director General, for motivating us for hosting this meeting. In fact, it was his initiative that BIS should host this meeting in the to break the ice created due to the global health crisis and to have a face-to-face meeting. It is a fact realized by all, including ISO and us, that the fruitful discussions and making concrete progress, face-to-face meetings are desirable. Also, he has been constantly guiding and motivating us during the preparations for this meeting. I extend my deepest appreciation to the Additional Director General of BIS and the Chairperson of the Core Committee constituted for this meeting, Shrimati Mamta Upadhyay Lalji, for constant guidance and support for making this event a grand success. Ma'am, without your guidance, we would not have been able to host this wonderful event. I would also like to acknowledge and thank the delegates, ISO, and the government officials, representatives from the various stakeholder groups, and experts who have traveled from far and wide to attend this meeting. Your presence has enriched the discussions and contributed to the success of this event. Your expertise and insights have undoubtedly left a lasting impression on everybody's present here today. In conclusion, I would like to also reiterate and heartfelt gratitude to everyone in BIS, especially the organizing team who have contributed and worked tirelessly for the success of the COPOLCO meet. Your dedication, support, and enthusiasm have made gathering a memorable one. Let us carry forward the knowledge gained from this event and continue our collective efforts in ensuring consumer protection and empowerment. Thank you once again, and may the spirit of cooperation and collaboration continue to guide us in our future endeavors and make lives easier, safer, and better. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So with that, I now request everyone to kindly join us for high tea in the adjoining hall. Thank you once again. Thank you one and all.